Good day. The law on obligations and contracts is a fundamental part of the civil code that governs the legal duties or obligations and agreements or contracts between parties. It defines obligations as juridical necessities to give, to do, or not to do something arising from sources such as law, contracts, quasi contracts, crimes, and quasi delicts. Contracts, as a key source of obligations, have the force of law between parties and must be complied with in good faith, making this law essential for regulating businesses and personal transactions. The law of obligations and contracts is a branch of private law within the civil law system that organizes and regulates the rights and duties arising between persons in society. It governs how legal relationships and agreements are created, enforced, and extinguished, focusing on the mutual rights and responsibilities between individuals. This body of law is essential for maintaining order and fairness in personal and business transactions by ensuring that parties fulfill their legally binding obligations. So, what is the sources of law of obligations and contracts? The first, law. Obligations that arise directly from legal statutes or provisions, such as paying taxes or parental support duties. Contracts. Obligations created by agreements between parties that have the force of law and must be performed in good faith. Quasi contracts. Obligations arising where one party is unjustly enriched at another's expense, requiring restitution. 4. Delicts. Obligations caused by wrongful acts or crimes punishable by law. Quasi delicts. Obligations arising from damages caused by fault or negligence without a contractual relationship between parties. These sources establish the legal basis for the rights and duties between persons in society under the law of obligations and contracts. Now, for the sources of contracts would include law or the legal provisions mandating contracts under specific conditions. Contracts, voluntary agreements between parties creating enforceable obligations. Tort, obligations arising from wrongful acts that cause harm. Unjust enrichments, contracts implied to prevent one party's unjust gain at another's expense. An obligation by unilateral will or promise, obligations created by a party's expressed unilateral commitment or promise. So, what is Republic Act number 386 or the Civil Code? Republic Act number 386, known as the Civil Code of the Philippines, is a comprehensive law that governs civil relations, including obligations and contracts. It establishes that every person must act with justice, honesty, and good faith in exercising their rights and performing their duties. Importantly, it provides that any person who suffers material or moral loss due to a public servant or employee's refusal or neglect without just cause to perform their official duty may file an action for damages and other relief against the public servant alongside any disciplinary administrative actions that may be taken. Civil Code of the Philippines. The Republic Act number 386 is the foundational law that codifies private law in the country. Was enacted in 1950. It governs essential aspects of family and property relations, serving as the general law for civil matters. Despite subsequent amendments, it remains the primary legal framework regulating personal rights, obligations, contracts, and property among Filipinos. A civil code is a systematic codification of private law covering essential areas such as property, family, and obligations. It serves as the general legal framework regulating the rights and duties of individuals in these areas. In some jurisdictions, certain private law topics that might otherwise be included in the civil code are instead codified in a separate commercial code, distinguishing commercial from civil law. Article 1156 of the Civil Code of the Philippines defines an obligation as a juridical necessity to give, to do, or not to do. This means an obligation is a legally binding relationship between two parties where the creditor has the right to demand a specific prestation. Prestation means giving, doing, or not doing something from the debtor. The law emphasizes the passive aspect of the obligation, focusing on the debtor's duty to fulfill the obligation, which is enforceable by law through legal processes if not performed. This juridical tie ensures that failure to comply results in legal consequences for the debtor. In the context of obligations under the Civil Code of the Philippines, to give means the delivery or transfer of ownership of a movable or immovable thing to the creditor. To do refers to the performing a specific act or service required by the obligation. Not to do means refraining or ceasing from performing a particular act, which may include the obligation not to give something as well. These three forms define the scope of what the debtor is obliged to perform under an obligation. Juridical necessity refers to the legal obligation or compulsion that binds a debtor to perform an obligation, whether to give, do, or not to do something. This means that the rights and duties arising from an obligation are enforceable by law, and the aggrieved party may seek judicial intervention to compel the debtor's performance. It distinguishes legal obligations from moral or natural duties, emphasizing that failure to comply can lead to court ordered enforcement or remedies. A real obligation is a legal duty connected with a real right, meaning it involves the obligation to deliver or give a specific thing, usually property. It corresponds to the debtor's duty to perform in relation to the right exercised by the creditor, such as delivering a property or paying a debt. An example of a real obligation is a mortgage, where the debtor must fulfill the duty related to the real property involved. A debtor is a person or legal entity who owes money or services to another party. The party to whom the debt or obligation is owed is called the creditor. The debt or obligation refers to the money or service that the debtor must give or perform for the creditor, creating a legal relationship where the creditor has the right to demand fulfillment from the debtor. Personal obligation refers to a liability or duty that is incurred by a specific person or entity, which must be performed personally and is not transferable to others. In contract law, it means the obligation to do or refrain from doing something where breach of this obligation constitutes a personal default. These obligations arise from contracts or agreements and require the involved party to fulfill the terms for the benefit of the other party, as exemplified in leases or service contracts. Examples of civil obligations include the obligation to pay interest for the use of money, even it was not agreed upon in writing, as the law recognizes the right to interest in certain cases. The duty to support natural or spurious children, which is a legal responsibility to provide for the needs of one's children. The obligation to give material and financial assistance to children upon their marriage, ensuring their welfare and support during this important life event. These examples illustrate civil obligations that are legally enforceable and must be complied with to avoid legal consequences. Mga dahilan kung bakit nangungutang ang isang tao ay kadalasang dahil sa walang pera upang matugunan ang agarang pangangailangan o gastusin, walang trabaho o regular na kita kaya nangangailangan ng pondo upang buhayin ang sarili o pamilya, kakulangan sa pera para sa iba't ibang dahilan tulad ng biglaang gastusin, pagtustos sa edukasyon, panggamot, o iba pang pangangailangan na hindi kayang punan ng sariling kita. Marami pang dahilan kung bakit nangungutang ang mga tao, kabilang ang mga hindi inaasahang pangyayari o kagustuhang makasabay sa mga kaibigan. Ngunit ang pangunahing sanhi ay laging kawalan ng sapat na pera o kita. This topic covers key concepts in obligations and contracts. Debtor and creditor. The debtor is the person who owes money or services, while the creditor is the party entitled to demand fulfillment of that debt or obligation. Real obligation, obligation to deliver a specific thing or property, such as the duty to transfer all ownership or pay a debt related to real property. Personal obligation involves an obligation to perform or refrain from performing a specific act, which can be either a positive duty to do something or a negative duty not to do something. Example of civil obligation. Examples include obligations to pay interest for the use of money, even if unwritten, the duty to support a natural or spurious children, and the duty to provide financial assistance to children upon marriage. Bakit nangungutang ang tao? People often borrow money due to lack of cash, unemployment, financial shortage, or other pressing needs. So these concepts from the foundation of understanding obligations in law, highlighting the legal duties and rights between parties in various transactions and relationships. Sagutin natin. Obligasyon ba ng nangutang na bayaran ang utang nito? Mga maaaring solusyon para makasingil sa utang, mga solusyon para makabayad sa utang. Hirap nun ah. Ano ang small claims? This is a new law. I'm part of the Facebook group for small claims. Una, oo, obligasyon ng isang nangungutang na bayaran ang kanyang utang dahil ito ay isang pangako o kasunduan na kailangang tuparin. Ang utang ay isang halaga o bagay na kinakailangang isauli o bayaran sa may-ari nito, lalo na kung may kasulatan o kasunduan na nagsasaad ng takdang araw ng pagbabayad. Ang hindi pagbabayad ng utang ay maaaring magdulot ng legal na aksyon laban sa nangutang upang mapilitang bayaran ang kanyang obligasyon. Mga maaaring solusyon para makasingil sa utang ay ang mga sumusunod. Una, alamin ang araw na sahod ng may utang upang makasiguro na mabayaran ito sa tamang panahon o samahan pa siya sa pagkuha ng sahod. Panatilihin ang komunikasyon sa may utang para maipalaala ng maayos ang obligasyon niya sa pagbabayad ng utang. Maging may strikto sa pagsingil at ipakita ang seryosong intensyon na makuha ang bayad. Ipatawag sa barangay para doon ayusin ang issue at masigurong makakabayad ang may utang sa maayos na paraan. Ang mga hakbang na ito ay makakatulong sa pagpapadali ng pagsingil ng may respeto at legal na proseso na maaaring maiwasan ang hindi pagkakunawaan at hindi pagbabayad. Mga halimbawa ng solusyon para makabayad sa utang. Maghanap ng trabaho o dagdag na kita upang madagdagan ng pera na pwedeng gamitin sa pagbabayad. Sa natatanggap na kita, ugaliing maglaan ng tamang halaga para sa utang bago gastusin sa ibang bagay. Iwasan ang pagbili ng mga bagay na hindi naman kailangan upang makapag-ipon para sa utang. Magbawas ng gastusin sa araw-araw tulad ng pagpapaliban ng mga luho o hindi kailangang paggasta. Magbenta ng mga gamit na hindi na ginagamit o kailangan para magkaroon ng karagdagang pera. Ugaliing mag-ipon kahit maliit na halaga araw-araw para unti-unting mabayaran ng utang. Ang mga hakbang na ito ay makatutulong upang mapanatili ang disiplina sa pananalapi at masuportahan ang obligasyon sa pagbabayad ng utang. Small claims in the Philippines refer to a judicial reform by the Supreme Court aimed at providing a simple, fast, and inexpensive way to resolve disputes or claims in court. It covers procedures for collecting money claims not exceeding 200,000 pesos, including agreements from rentals, loans, services, sales, and pawning. This system allows parties to settle minor financial disputes without the complexity and cost of regular court proceedings, making justice more accessible to ordinary citizens. Sino dito ang nakasuhan na ng estafa. Sa Pilipinas, estafa is the criminal offense of swindling or fraud, primarily governed by the revised penal code under Articles 315 to 318. It involves a person deceitfully representing themselves or their abilities to obtain money, goods, or property from another, resulting in the victim suffering damages. Essential elements include fraudulent acts or false pretenses, damage or prejudice to the victim, and intent to defraud. Examples include misrepresentation, issuance of bad checks, or abuse of trust. Penalties vary depending on the gravity of the offense and the value of the defrauded property, ranging from imprisonment to fines and restitution. Estafa undermines trust and imposes serious legal consequences for those who commit the offense. So, what is fraud? Imagine someone wearing a superhero cape, but instead of saving the day, they're tricking you into thinking they can fly, but they just jump off your wallet. Yeah, that's fraud. When someone pretends to be someone else or says they can do magic, they actually cannot, and you're left holding an empty wallet and a big question mark. Now, who wants to be a superhero with real powers, or better yet, the one who never gets fooled? In the Philippines, fraud involves the false representation of facts, either by intentionally withholding important information or by providing false statements with the purpose of deceiving another party to gain something that would not have been given without such deception. It encompasses any act, omission, or concealment that breaches a legal duty or trust, causing damage or loss to another. Fraud is characterized by deceit, misrepresentation, and the intent to trick someone into a transaction or act that results in harm or unfair advantage to the deceiver. This concept is foundational in both civil and criminal law, with penalties ranging from fines to imprisonment depending on the nature and gravity of the offense. Ano naman ang swindling? Swindle, commonly known as estafa, is the act of dishonestly obtaining money or property from someone by deceiving or cheating them. It involves fraudulent means such as false pretenses, misrepresentation, or abuse of trust to defraud another party, causing them to damage or loss. Swindling is penalized under Articles 315 to 318 of the revised Penal Code and can take various forms, including false representation of qualifications, issuing bounce checks, or fraudulent contracts. The crime is treated seriously, with penalties ranging from fines to imprisonment depending on the gravity of the offense. What is Batas Pambansa 22? BP 22, also known as the Anti-Bouncing Check Law in the Philippines, it penalizes the making, drawing, and issuance of a check without sufficient funds or credit to cover the amount presentment. Under this law, issuing a bounce check with knowledge that there are insufficient funds or credit is a criminal offense. The key points would include that the check must be dishonored by the bank due to insufficient funds or a closed account within 90 days of issuance. The drawer is presumed to know about the insufficient funds unless proven otherwise. The payee must send a written notice of dishonor to the drawer who then has 5 banking days to settle the payment. Penalties include imprisonment for 30 days to 1 year, a fine equivalent to at least the amount of the check, and up to double the amount or both. The law aims to protect the integrity of financial transactions and the banking system in the Philippines. This law makes sure that checks remain a reliable and secure mode of payment and deters fraud and dishonesty in financial dealings. Mga bansang mahilig maghabol ng utang, maaari bang tubuan ang utang? Magkano ilang porsyento? May nakukulong ba sa utang? What are the requisites of application? Sagutin natin yung mga bansang mahilig maningil. Ito ang mga bansa na bumubuo sa Gulf Cooperating Countries, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. So sa mga bansang ito, ah, Talagang nakikipag-ugnayan sila sa mga agents dito sa Manila at hinahabol nila yung may mga utang sa kanila. May nakukulong ba sa utang? Okay, yes, it is true, walang nakukulong sa utang. According to the 1987 Philippine Constitution, no person can be imprisoned solely for failing to pay a debt. Article 3, Section 20 of the Constitution explicitly states that no person shall be imprisoned for debt. This means that non-payment of a loan or debt is not a criminal offense and cannot be a basis for detention or imprisonment. However, a person may be jailed if the failure to pay debt involves deceit or fraud, such as swindling or issuing a bounce check or talbog na cheque. In such cases, the criminal aspect arises from the fraudulent act, not merely from the non-payment of debt itself. An example about interest or tubo on loans is, for example, if a person borrows 100,000 pesos with no written agreement on interest, the legal interest rate that may be charged is 6% per annum, which is 6,000 per year. This means the borrower must pay back 106,000 pesos after 1 year. However, under Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Circular Number 905, borrowers and lenders can agree in writing on different interest rate, but the courts can reduce the rate if it is unconscionable, meaning excessively high or unfair. For instance, if the agreed interest rate is very high compared to the market rate, the court may lower that to the fair amount. So, ano ang masasabi natin? Without written agreement on interest, legal interest is 6% yearly. With written agreement naman, parties can set their rate, but courts can step in if it becomes abusive. So this is how the law balances lenders' right to earn tubo and borrower protection. Requisites of obligation. In the Philippine legal context, an obligation must have four essential requisites to exist. One, active subject, the creditor or obligee who has the right to demand the obligation be fulfilled. Two, passive subject, the debtor or obligor who is bound or required to perform the obligation. Three, prestation, the object or subject matter of the obligation, which may involve giving something, doing an act, or refraining from doing something. And number four, efficient cause. The juridical tie or legal bond that binds the parties to the obligation, such as a contract, quasi contract, law, or other lawful source. All these four elements must be present for an obligation to be valid and enforceable under Philippine law. For example, in a loan agreement, the lender is the active subject, the borrower is the passive subject, the money loaned is the prestation, and the contract itself is the efficient cause creating the legal tie between them. So, what is law? Law is a body of rules of action or conduct prescribed by controlling authority and having binding legal force which must be obeyed and followed by citizens subject to sanctions or legal consequence is law or batas. Contract of lease. A lease contract is a legal agreement between one, the landlord, and Maria, the tenant. One agrees to let Maria live in his apartment for 1 year in exchange for monthly rent of 10,000 pesos. The contract specifies Maria's right to live peacefully in the apartment and one's right to receive the rent and retain ownership of the property. Both parties agree to the terms and sign the contract, making it legally binding. So this lease contract protects both Juan and Maria by clearly stating their rights and obligations during the lease period. Contract of sale. For example, Maria agrees to sell her car to Juan for 300,000 pesos. Juan promises to pay the full amount upon delivery. Once Juan pays the agreed price and Maria hands over the car, ownership transfers from Maria to Juan. This contract of sale legally binds both parties, ensuring Juan gets the car and Maria receives the payment. Article 1158. Obligations derived from law are not presumed. Only those expressly determined in this code or in special laws are demandable and shall be regulated by the precepts of the law which establishes them, and as to what has not been foreseen by the provisions of the civil law. So here are the titles corresponding to the cited articles. What is Article 1159? Obligations arising from contracts have the force of law between the parties and should be complied with in good faith. Article 1160, the effect of obligations is demandable with due regard to nature, subject matter, and circumstances of the obligation. Article 1161, civil obligations arising from criminal offenses shall be governed by the penal laws. And Article 1162, when a legal obligation or contract expressly provides for the time of payment, the creditor may demand payment upon arrival of the due date. So these articles are part of the Civil Code of the Philippines, Book 4, Obligations and Contracts, specifically dealing with general rules governing obligations. Article 1159 is obligations arising from the contracts. I've mentioned that. Article 1306 of the Philippine Civil Code states that contracting parties have the freedom to establish any stipulations, clauses, terms, and conditions in their contract as they deem convenient. However, this freedom is limited by the requirement that these agreements must not be contrary to law, morals, good customs, public order, or public policy. So essentially, people can freely contract according to their own convenience and advantage as long as the contract is lawful and respects social norms and public welfare. Article 1160, obligations derived from quasi contracts shall be subject to provisions of Chapter 1 of the book. Quasi contract is a juridical relation that arises from a lawful, voluntary, and unilateral act where one person benefits at the expense of another without a prior agreement. So the law imposes an obligation on the party who received the benefit to indemnify the other to prevent unjust enrichment. For example, if a neighbor voluntarily repairs another's leaking roof to prevent damage, the owner must compensate the neighbor for necessary expenses even without a contract. Quasi contracts are governed by Articles 2142 to 2175 of the Philippine Civil Code. And that's the end of part one. I'll continue in a while.